Namor's mind is lost and he's a danger to himself and others. Can his old World War II friends help him through? Well, let's hop into Invaders issue number 2 and find out for ourselves, shall we? Alrighty then, so picking up from where the last issue left off, Jim Hammond is leaving the home of the Petersons. This family has had a long history with Namor the Submariner, and the Human Torch believes they're actually lying about the time he spent with amnesia. And that this mystery, which also just so happens to involve Charles Xavier, might explain why he's acting so aggressive right now. Much like the first issue too, this second outing is filled with a bunch of important flashbacks to the Invaders' time during World War II. We see a particular mission on the water involving Cap and Bucky that went awry, and in fact both our heroes would have been killed if Namor didn't step in to help them. This was actually pretty big of Namor when we stop and consider that he and Steve had left on not such good terms following the death of a GI that he was quite fond of. We can see even as early as back then Namor's heart was getting darker and hardened, saying to Cap that his greatest weakness is that he shows too much mercy to his enemies and that in times of war no quarter can be given if you want to achieve victory. Now Cap is absolutely certain that the King of Atlantis is up to no good, and because of that he decides to go back to Atlantis to try and have a parlay with Namor. He admits this is fully stupid as he and the entire Avengers team had gone there not so long ago in the pages of the Avengers book. Steve hopes that in coming not as an Avenger but as an invader, one of Namor's friends, he'll actually listen to reason this time. Namor's not home though, he's busy building an army to attack the surface world, and so Steve has to duke it out with the Defenders of the Deep. Steve ends up getting captured, and we discover that he's not actually the only one that Namor has taken prisoner. Morris Bench, the Spider-Man villain known as Hydro Man, is there as well for some reason. We get yet another flashback to not long after the war is over. Bucky and Steve were considered dead, and Namor actually got quite mad at the governmental general when he talked about resurrecting the two with new people in the suit, showing that despite how he might have seemed on the outside, Namor actually had nothing but the utmost respect for Captain America at the end of the day. It's that respect that probably stops Namor from killing Captain America, even though he's twice now stumbled into his territory after being expressly told to stay the hell out. Namor also takes this opportunity to show off his brand new powers. We saw in the previous issue he was able to manipulate the water around him, and that's because, well, he stole Hydro Man's powers. Meh, not much of a loss really. Bench wasn't using them and they look better on Namor anyway. Cap is allowed to leave one last time, and we discover this was actually all one giant smokescreen operation. Cap would keep Namor busy while Bucky snuck into the King's chambers and stole his plans. It seems that outside of recruiting a brand new army, Namor is also building a giant alchemy bomb to kill every air breather on Earth. Oh no, I breathe air and I live on the surface. Strangely though, that might not be the most monstrous thing Namor does this week. You see, he takes time out of his busy conquering schedule to go visit the Petersons once again. They fear what Jim Hammond might uncover involving Professor X, and that is really only the tip of the iceberg. It's Namor's advisor, Makan, who we found out in the previous issue actually isn't real and is only the embodiment of his guilt over the death of that GI back in World War II, claims that the only way to keep his plan safe is to just kill the Petersons now and get it over with. And it's on that dour note that the comic comes to a close. So that was Invaders issue number 2, everybody, and while I'm still very much on board with this story, I didn't like issue 2 as much as issue 1. It wasn't nearly as jam-packed. I did certainly enjoy all the continuity connections that were offered up in this issue. It's clear that Zdarsky did his homework, has read a lot of other people's books, and he's going to tell you about them. Heck, it almost becomes a joke and a punchline that Captain America is doing more or less the same thing he did in the Avengers book. I like that attention to detail, but again, retreading stuff is retreading stuff sometimes. The real star of the show, though, in this series is Namor himself. He's a complicated villain with a deep, interesting backstory, lots of ties to other characters that changes and evolves over time. And honestly, his fate could go either way at this moment. I don't know where they're going to go with him, and I think that's some real stakes in this story. Overall, I'd give this issue a 7.5 out of 10, pretty solid.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again. I want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed what you saw, and if you did, why not take a closer look at some of these other videos I have available from the channel. Then you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Cape Joel, so you're always up to speed on what I'm doing next. And hey, if you're in a supportive mood, why not check out my Patreon page? Patrons get exclusive access to videos and content before anyone else, and you can do so for as little as $1 a month. I would really appreciate it, and with that, I will be sure to be back again next time with even more great comic content that smacks of greatness. Bye-bye, everyone.